Okay, this is the review for the absolute value test. This is going to be probably part one of several. Question number one, we have three different graphs, and on these three graphs we're asked to find the domain and range. And then on number two, we actually come back to problem number one and need to find these solutions here. First graph right here, domain. The domain for these are all real numbers. You can also write that as x is an element of all real numbers, and for short, some of you I'll just feel comfortable putting all the numbers like that. So any of those will work if it's multiple choice. You can also have negative infinity to positive infinity. Range for the first one. I look at my domain is x, range is my y. So if I look at my y-axis, here, I see that the smallest value I have, it goes down to -2. So my y is going to be compared to -2. My y values end up being above it, so this needs to be a greater than or equal to sign. When I look at b, again, domain is all real numbers, and I look and see where I cross my y-axis. Crosses up there at 4. So my y is going to be compared to 4, and all these values are below, which means less than or equal to. And the last one here goes to, on the y-axis again, goes to -3. And I'm comparing my y to -3, and these are below, so that's less than or equal to. Back up a little bit here. If I look at number 2, I have problem number 1 as the one. Okay, so we have f of x is -1 here, so the f of x matches to this one as f of x. So looking for 1, if I draw 1 across like that, I want to find the places where they intersect, and they're right there. And then I want to go down to my x value. So I have -4 and I have 2. On g of x, I have it equal to 3. So I'm going to draw a line where y equals 3. I have two solutions there and there. Bring them down to the x-axis. I have 2 and 4. 2 and 4. And then on h of x, I'm looking for -7. Intersects there and there. That one, of course, is going to be 0. This one is 4. So those are my solutions for number 2. And I'm going to back up a little bit more, hopefully we can see it, and look at 3. 3, we're writing the equations. We're writing the equations for these, and then describing the transformations. Alright, so first thing I look at, are we reflected across the x-axis? No, this goes up, so it's positive. Is my slope of these lines other than 1? No, so that we don't need a vertical stretch or compress there. I can start with my absolute value, x, and did I move left or right? Well, I moved left for my vertex 1. So this distance right here is 1. So left 1 would be +1 inside the parentheses. And then I actually went down 2, so that's a -2 at the end. That is the equation. Then I need to look at my changes. What transformations did I do? It translated 1 to the left and down 2, or it shifted left 1 and shifted down 2. So I'm just going to abbreviate that by shifted left 1, shifted down 2. B, I look at this one, it is reflected across the x-axis. See how it opens down? So it is going to be a negative equation. Then I look at the slope. This has a slope that's a -1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. So I don't need to make a change to the number there. I can go ahead and start my absolute value, my x in here, and then did I move right or left? Well, yeah, I moved right to this 3 right here, where x is 3. To the right is -3 inside the parentheses. Remember, inside the parentheses works backwards. And then my vertex also came up to 4. So I went plus 4. You can see these are the same numbers that I was using. Well, some of these are the same numbers as you. Here's a -2 for my range, 4 for my range, and I'm sure the -3 will come into play over here. Transformations. What happened? I reflected across the x-axis. I shifted, what is that, right 3, and then I shifted up 4, or translated right 3, translated up 4. Last one on number 3. I look up here at my equation, my graph, and I see that it is negative again, so I'm going to say it's negative. And then when I'm looking at the slope of the line, I go to point, I go down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1. So that would be a slope of 2. And then I can go ahead and write my absolute value, my x, and I look here, and I'm going to go over to 2. Right 2 would be negative. Again, we're opposite in the parentheses for absolute value. And then I'm going to go down -3, same -3 I used up here. Transformations here, we're just going to say it reflected, and then it has a vertical stretch by 2, by a factor of 2, and then it shifted right 2 and shifted down 3.